Okay.
So I know that was one of your big questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
So, what was your? I mean, did you have specific questions about range of motion?
I was reading. I don't know what I read. I read. I thought range of motion that you had to get the whole thing because I did think that your muscles could shorten.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, if you want to cut off your muscle and shorten it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
So, basically what we're talking about here is full ROM versus partial range of motion.
Yeah.
Now, in general, what you already know is it doesn't matter which one you use. It matters which one's better for you. In general, right? You pretty much understand that.
Which one's better for you at the time?
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, literally all we're looking here is what's better. That's it.
Right.
The question, though, is sometimes why can it be better, right?
Right, exactly. Why?
So, think about the way most people move in life. Most people move through partial ranges of motion.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're doing, basically, for example, on computer, your fingers are never really fully going into flexion or extension. They're kind of in between.
Curved.
Yeah, same, and then think about even walking.
Picking things up.
Yeah, picking things up, walking, so forth and so on. They're
Right,
not
walking.
really in full range of motion.
Right.
Now, one of the other things you know is also that the best place to start most people is where they're comfortable.
Right.
So this was where I was kind of getting at when we were talking about, when we were talking about, what do people mostly do all the time? And then getting them kind of to expand what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning if I'm doing this,
Mm-hmm.
my movement is still decent from here to here. So a little bit lower, a little bit higher. And that's in all the joint motions.
Oh.
Okay. But anything past that,
Mm-hmm.
you want to be very wary of.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll notice even in a lot of people when you're first starting them out, like say they're doing like a squat,
Mm-hmm.
you notice that, let's pretend this is a full range of motion here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is their start point, this is their end point. Most people when they squat, most of the time the squat will slow down at about halfway through.
Yeah.
So what do you already know if you were using that as a kind of test? Speed. When it slows, already tells you kind of what's better for them.
Okay.
So in this case, if you were to use full ROM versus partial ROM, and remember what's better for the client, you already know that once they go past this halfway point, this is already probably going to be an injury zone.
Ah.
If you keep going.
Okay.
For me, when I didn't notice my range of motion in the beginning, when I was still stuck on everything has to be full range of motion.
Yeah.
What I didn't notice is this is the areas where I started feeling my knee pain.
Mm.
Not here, but here.
Right.
Anytime I got lower after a certain point of range of motion, it hurt. I didn't notice it in the beginning. It took me a very long time to notice. I just knew that after my workout session, I was in pain.
Oh, gee.
But then I started to say, what happened to make me put into pain? So I
Right.
started doing things that worked my knee,
Right.
because, what's the simplest solution first? And boom, I started realizing this didn't hurt, oh, holy crap, that started burning. And that it led me to figure out that, well, it didn't really lead me to figure out, but it was just more so, once your speed starts slowing down, so speed is fast here, but when it slows down within this range of motion, that's probably where you're going to get hurt.
Okay.
You're basically using speed as another way of testing, but specifically for that movement.
Okay. So you don't really need to, with the biofeedback, like if you don't have them test, you could kind of tell.
You can kind of tell.
You could tell already.
Because of speed.
Okay.
It's harder to, in general, and this is the thing, it always goes back to what's better.
Right.
If they've never done anything biofeedback oriented and haven't even listened to their body before, even if they did one exercise and you just made sure they stopped at speed, or made sure that basically you noticed their ranges of motion that were better for them,
Yeah.
you're already getting them towards better.
Right. That's what Frankie said. He said you just don't want to hurt them. You want to get them
That's
better.
all that matters, yeah. Our goal is basically the more we can steer them away from pain, the better they seem to be faster.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference. Do you have any, you can keep asking questions about this, because this is one of the biggest topics that are out there right now.
Well, like what about for us? Is it just the pain? Not full of motion?
Even for performance.
How do you know then for performance?
Same thing. So
say you're doing a bench press.
By the way, rather than thinking pain or performance, think pain and performance. They're related to each other.
What do you mean?
So
pain, to not have pain and have performance.
for example, if you're in pain, how fast do you run?
Oh, not very fast.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
think
okay.
about it that way.
Okay.
A lot of people break these up, and the problem is this has nothing to do with everything else versus the fact that we're human, so they're all still connected to us.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is like, well, pain is its own thing, performance is a different thing. No, they're the same because we're all human.
Right.
We're all one thing. Our arm is connected to our leg still because we're still one. That's why you see those pits in the grass, is when I'm doing overhead presses. Remember, range of motion...
That's what you said. You said you throw it.
Yeah, so range of motion for ROM is actually all the way up, all the way down. When the way a lot of people think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes though, even a partial ROM, so I'll drop it because I can't go back down. It hurts.
Mm.
I can overhead press, but I can't go back down.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah, it makes
Or
sense.
some days I can go down, but I can't go back up.
Oh.
But I mean, the idea is
Okay.
basically, you know, it's still things that people aren't using yet or testing yet.
There's so many things that I'm finding out that are so wrong that say prove it.
Yeah.
I mean, prove it. You know, like the protein in your kidney damage.
I mean, the best solution for everything is just, does it work for you?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, I mean, like, and it's just weird because the problem with a lot of the things is they've told you how to think for so long. Not specifically you, but in general.
No, yeah, they do.
And I mean, that's one of the reasons why people are trying to, you know, start asking yourself, is it really helping you? You'll notice how much faster it is when you make people more comfortable. What happens to their range?
I did today in TRX.
Mm-hmm.
I let them do. You know, I'm like, you know, hey, if it hurts, don't do it.
But you have to let them get used to movement first, because most of the time they didn't even know
because
what
they
this
don't
is.
move.
Yeah, they don't know what this is.
Really, I'm finding that people have a really hard time with rotation.
Uh-huh.
Very hard time.
Well, imagine if most people are office people or just people that are on a computer, there's no rotation here. There might be if they're sit like this.
So the guy today, he was, I was having him do the rotation, and he was rotating his whole, because I think his hips didn't really want to move that way.
Almost
right?